Now it is Mini X final time. I would like to go through the end of it, the grid running, the finishing orders, but I'm going to try and concentrate on the top three. When it's lower grids, I'll be able to compensate a little bit more, because we now have Mini X final time. On the front row, it is going to be Drew Davison and Jack Cox. That's numbers 20 and 19. Charlie Vaughan and Charlie Thompson, row 2. That's 27 and 36. Oliver Thompson and Jamie Perry, 21 and 55, are your last starters as we go green in Mini X final, heading into turn 1. And looks like Jack Cox has slotted into second place ahead of Charlie Vaughan. Don't forget, Charlie Thompson is going to be one to watch in this final. He was very, very competitive indeed, as Vaughan goes up the inside of Jack Cox into the Stratford hairpin. So they make it through the Bruno chicane for the first time of asking. 9.5 minutes to go, plus 1 additional lap here in the Mini X final. So we'll have Army Cadet, Junior TKM, Junior X30, Senior X30, Formula Libre, and TKM Extreme. That rounds out the finals action here for round 8 of the championship, as the sun continues to try and break through, as all 31 Honda Cadets are in the Parc Ferme area before being scrutineered. All scrutineering has to be, so all results are provisional post-race technical inspections by our scrutineering team. Good to see a familiar face in the form of Paul Klassen, who I've worked alongside this year as well. Good to see him here too. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, it is Drew Davison leading the way ahead of Charlie Vaughan. Jack Cox in third. There's a bit of gap now between the top two and third and fourth, but we've seen it with the Mini X's. As the race progresses, the field starts to concertina a little bit closer together. That could very much be the case here in the Mini X final. So just under 8.5 minutes plus an additional lap to go. And it is still Drew Davison leading. Charlie Vaughan in second in the number 27. The number 19 of Jack Cox in third. And he's looking a bit menacing there, I have to say, heading into the Stratford hairpin. And back at the back part of the field, Jamie Perry and Oliver Thompson continue their battling, as we saw in Heat 3 before. I think it was Jamie Perry that unfortunately finished a little bit further back than he would have liked. But Charlie Vaughan, in the meantime, through the Bruno chicane, has hit the front of the field as Drew Davison gets a bit sideways there as he breaks into the approach into Wilkins. Now it's coming around the final corner across the start-finish line. So Vaughan leads and sets the best lap of the race so far, 45.04 from the number 27. Drew Davison in second. So the lap times at the moment, 45.04 from Charlie Vaughan as they now finish sector 1. So 14.47 in fact, set by both Jack Cox and Charlie Thompson, as Thompson has got his way past the number 19, going through into the Bruno chicane. So must have had the better run of traction coming out of the Stratford hairpin. So nice work by Charlie Thompson in the 36 now, puts himself into the top 3. And in purple in sector 2 was Charlie Vaughan. Drew Davison sets the best sector time of anybody in sector number 3 with a 14.75. 14.84 from Vaughan and 14.81 from the number 36 of Thompson, who's just been overtaken again, I think. No, he hasn't. No, he's keeping Jack Cox at bay for third. Just over 6.5 minutes plus an additional lap to go in this Mini X final. So still plenty of racing action to keep you folks at home entertained for the next hour and a half or so, as we get to run down the inevitable conclusion of round 8 of the 2018 Shenington Kart Racing Club Championships here. So good that we've had consistent weather. It's been overcast for most of the day, but the sun has tried to break its way through the clouds. But Charlie Vaughan is still ahead of Drew Davison as they now go through the Stratford hairpin. You can just see how much control these drivers are having to exercise when they're going through certain corners. The Bruno chicane, you've got to be really on point. You can get a little bit of a drift in coming back through the second half of it. So going through the midpoint of the chicane, you'll see that some of the drivers, when they're trying to apply the throttle, it's kicking the tail end out ever so slightly. but the drivers are able to use the slightest of steering wheel corrections. And you can see whether their hands are actually placed. And it's to allow maximum flexibility in turning around the corners. And you'll see that some drivers will have a smoother input when it comes to the steering, but you'll have some drivers that will sometimes try and grab that apex a little bit quicker. And you can see a little bit more work behind the wheel of Charlie Vaughan's car than you can see with Drew Davison. Drew looks to be a little bit more composed, but he wants to retake the lead. That's why he's sticking with Charlie Vaughan. Running order with 5 minutes plus an additional lap to go. Charlie Vaughan leads, fractionally ahead of Drew Davison in the number 20. Charlie Thompson and Jack Cox are battling over 3rd and 4th respectively in 36 and 19. Jamie Perry and Oliver Thompson are 5th and 6th respectively, as looks like Charlie Thompson is going to try and retake. Oh, a nice move by Drew Davison. It seems like Park Bend seems to be his sweet spot. He was using that in the last heat we saw earlier on to his direct advantage. He gets the lead ahead of Charlie Vaughan, as Jack Cox now retakes 3rd place back from Charlie Thompson in the number 36. But you can just see how, as I was saying, there's so much control in having to be... these karts don't have the greatest suspension travel rate, let's be completely honest, because these drivers' backsides are literally millimetres from the floor. Not even, probably even an inch or two. But the way that you can just see how they are wrestling with the karts, and when they put down the throttle, you can hear through the... I can hear through the engine that sometimes that there may be... If they've got a bit too heavy on the right foot, a bit too early, that will allow the kart to sort of step out ever so slightly as Davison takes the quickest of glances over his right shoulder to see that Vaughan is still there with him. Vaughan is not letting this get away at all. We still have 3.5 minutes plus an additional lap to go. Meanwhile, Charlie Thompson is at it again. Here comes Jack Cox and returns the favour up the inside for 3rd place at Wilkins. But now Thompson's going to have the better run coming out of the corner, and he goes up the inside into Park Bend. But Cox, that was brazen, that was bold, that was incredibly committed there, going around the outside of Charlie Thompson into Park Bend as the leaders now come through the Stratford hairpin. Incredible control exercised by all drivers. So 2 3/4 minutes plus an additional lap. It is still the duel at the front, and it has been less than a 1/10 of a second pretty much through the whole race, irrespective of who has been leading, as now Vaughan is getting the run, coming out of the final corner, onto Davidson, going through into Park Bend. Through Cafe Corner come the duo. A little bit further back, Jack Cox still has Charlie Thompson with him in 3rd and 4th respectively. But now Vaughan is getting, I don't think impatient or even frustrated, but is now looking to put together a run of momentum that's going to enable him to move forward and to hopefully, within the next 2 minutes and 45 seconds, I think, have that chance where he can get past Drew Davison for the lead. Now this would be quite crucial because in terms of what they've done, in terms of the scoring side of things, it's very interesting how different championships work their points. So I'm just going to keep an eye on who's finishing where. That's my main focus at the moment. As you can see that Vaughan is still within a kart length, maybe a kart length and a half, coming out of the Stratford hairpin, heading into the Bruno chicane. But Davison in the 20 still has the measure of his opponent. We are fast approaching the last 60 seconds. Plus 1 additional lap here. So, minute to go, plus 1 lap as they come through Park Bend, through Cafe Corner, as the sun starts to rejoin us here at the racetrack. Thank you very much for everyone who's continuing to view the live streams on the Alpha Live YouTube channel, Downforce UK's Facebook page and Karting Magazine's Facebook page. as it's still too close to call. It's been about a tenth and a half. Bit sideways there from Vaughan going into the approach area of the Bruno chicane there. But 44.58 seconds was the last lap around by Drew Davidson, as Charlie Vaughan is still threatening. We've got 14 seconds plus an additional lap to go on the clock, but now it's going to be this and an additional lap to go. But last time around, Vaughan was fractionally quicker. Is he going to get the run going into the Stratford hairpin? Yes, he does indeed. So Charlie Vaughan, on the penultimate lap of the race, now retakes the lead, which he originally had before Drew Davison went up the inside of him a few laps ago to take the lead and start to try and get a breakaway. But Charlie Vaughan has not allowed him to get away, as it was less than a tenth of a second. Now it is going to be one lap to go in the Mini X final. Last lap board it is, as Davison goes on the ultra attack and Vaughan goes on the ultra defensive through Park Bend. Now they've gone through Cafe Corner down towards the Stratford hairpin for the final time. You can see it's a case of who wants it most. And oh, oh my goodness me. Drew Davison went off into the runoff area that heads towards the other part of the track. So now he's not a very happy bunny, is Drew Davison, and thumps the curbs on the exit of the. So just hearing that there might be an investigation into that move, but that was so checkered flag to Charlie Vaughan. I'm not too sure if Drew Davison is going to agree with that, but we'll have to wait to see what happens. Could there be a case now? Now Drew Davison still circulates, takes fourth. Now, was there contact between the pair? I'd be very, very interested to see. But straight away, head hitting the steering wheel, a shrug of what happened from Drew Davison there. I'd be interested to see a replay. Looks like we might have. Well, we're going to catch up with some of the action. This is what happened from the start. Drew Davison took the initial lead and was swapping positions with Charlie Vaughan. You can see a little bit twitchy under braking there from the number 20 from Scotland, but quite interesting. So Charlie Vaughan takes the win, but possibly with an investigation, I think, might be underway as we speak. Jack Cox takes second, provisionally ahead of Charlie Thompson. Drew Davison finishes in fourth, ahead of Jamie Perry and Oliver Thompson. So this is where we could see that Drew Davison was working it to his advantage. You then had Thompson battling Cox, and Cox sending it up the inside as well. But we've got an Army Cadet final very, very shortly. So just going to keep an eye on this for the moment. But Cadet final, it will be Baxter Davies on the front row, Briggs alongside, Katz-Antonis and Sintler row 2, Crossley and Stilp row 3. Oh, here we go. No, I don't think there was contact. I don't think there was contact between the pair.